Have a seat right there, please, sir. All right, Mr. Dukes, my name is Bill Reinhardt. I'm a judge here, obviously, in Irwin County Superior Court. Today's hearing is on a matter concerning the disappearance and death of Miss Tara Grinstead, and pursuant to my order, you have been brought here from the Department of Corrections to answer questions about it. I see you don't have an attorney here with you today. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And do you have an attorney? I understand there's a case pending in the Ben Hill County Superior Court, as well as an appeal pending from the Wilcox County. Are you represented by attorneys in those matters?
By the Public Defender's Office in Ben Hill County.
All right. Today's questions that are the parties seek to pose to you concern a meeting at the GB office in Perry sometime back in 2017 at a time I understand that Mr. Fox represented you, okay? Now, you have the right not to answer any question that may be posed to you that you believe may tend to incriminate you in any way. Do you understand that?
I do, Your Honor.
All right. Would you prefer to speak with an attorney before you are asked questions here today?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. What's your position about that, Ms. Hart or Ms. Merchant?
I'll let
Ms. Merchant is the one who subpoenaed you, obviously, and I did the court order at her request to have you brought here. So the fact that you're not represented here today, I'm required to go over this stuff with you. So
I have no problem if Mr. Dukes would feel more comfortable speaking with a lawyer, allowing that opportunity. I do not anticipate asking him any questions that will implicate his Fifth Amendment privilege, but I have absolutely no problem with his desire to speak with a lawyer.
Ms. Hart?
Your Honor, given that I am one of the prosecutors on both the Wilcox pending appeal and the Ben Hill case, I certainly believe that he should be entitled to speak with his attorney. As Your Honor has pointed out, we did not have him produced, nor did we request he be here today. He is represented by the Public Defender's Office, and it would be appropriate for him to be able to speak with his attorney before being asked questions.
I think that'd be appropriate. You can step back, if you will, please, Mr. Dukes, to the waiting room back here to my right. The deputies will help you back there. Who is your attorney in the Ben Hill case?
Ms. Mullins.
Ms. Mullins?
It's Tracy Mullis, Judge, and I believe that Mr. Rigby has just gone to try and contact her.
Okay. All right, let's spread that away before we proceed any further with Mr. Dukes' testimony. What can we do between now? We're out of witnesses on this issue, correct?
For today's purposes.
For today's purposes, right. All right. Do you have any other matters?
Mr. Fox says
Is it 1:30? Right.
Yeah, he says he's available at 12. So, but that's it for the witnesses on this matter, Judge. Other than Mr. Fox.
Other than Mr. Fox. All right. Do you have any other pending motions we need to address today?
No. Oh yes, one. It's position number 5 on your order. The petition for certification of materiality of out-of-state witnesses and funds to produce the witness, or the alternative to permit Skype or Zoom testimony.
All right. And this is. Tell me about this witness, Mr. Merchant.
This is Mr. McCullough. He is. Let me just get that motion up, Judge.
Are you familiar with this witness, Ms.
We are, and if Mr. McCullough is the only witness they're addressing, Judge, we could probably shortcut that. The state intends to call Mr. McCullough to the stand, and he has been cooperative with the state since the first time we've had him subpoenaed, and I don't have any reason to believe he will not continue to be cooperative.
All right. You intend to present his testimony live, then?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Even better.
Well, I guess what Ms. Merchant's interested in, can you guarantee that he will be here?
I can never guarantee anything, Judge, even when they are
Can
under
you guarantee
subpoena.
the state is going to make every effort to get him here?
Absolutely, Judge. We did that in Mr. Duke's trial, and we intend to do it now. Mr. Rigby has been in contact with Mr. McCullough since the time that we tried the case back in 2019, and we have no indication that he's not cooperative.
Is there any reason not to take his testimony by Zoom, Skype, otherwise?
We would prefer for...
That's fine, but if we can't get him here for some reason, do y'all have any objection to his testimony coming in before the jury remotely?
I think that would be a question for defense counsel as it relates to possibly a confrontation clause issue, but...
That's why I'm asking.
We would like to have him in person, but if that's one of the reasons that we asked for him.
Or the alternative, Scott.
Right, if we don't have, if we can't, because we're in a different position than the state. We don't have the funds to bring him here. We don't have subpoena power outside of the state of Georgia. He is not necessarily a cooperating witness with us. We did serve him with a subpoena when he testified in Bo Dukes' trial, but then the state objected to our service of that subpoena, and that was why I brought this motion, because the state filed an objection, and so that indicated to us that they did not intend on calling him. If they do intend on calling him, we would just ask that he not be released until we can call him. We just want to make sure he testifies. How he testifies is not really a concern, just making sure he's here.
Well, it is a little difficulty because he's outside the jurisdictional boundaries of Georgia. So please just keep us posted if your attitude about your intention to bring him from Texas, is that where he is? Or wherever?
Texas.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Texas, okay. Otherwise, we'll count on the state making every effort to get him here live for the
Yes, Your
testimony
Honor.
in this trial. Okay?
The only thing that I did want to address, actually it's two things. One, as it relates to their prior attempts to serve him, that was actually in violation of the order that required him to come here, which is why we objected. It was in violation of Judge Chastain's order. That being said, obviously we intend to have him produced, and that would mean that the Tifton Judicial Circuit would have to pay those costs. However, if it becomes a situation where we've called him and we're done with his testimony and the defense wishes for him to remain, obviously we would need to discuss costs at that point, but that's something that we can address later on.
All right, good. That sounds like a fair resolution of that motion. All right, let's take about a 5-minute recess and let's see about the availability of Ms. Mullis.
Mr. Rigby has talked to Ms.
Judge,
Mullis.
I just spoke with Ms. Mullis on the telephone. Ms. Mullis indicates to me that she represents Mr. Dukes on the appeal. She anticipates, she doesn't know at present whether she actually represents him on the Ben Hill case or not. Likely does, but she's not certain at this moment whether she does or does not. That said, because this particular issue is what is on appeal, Ms. Mullis does object to her client testifying. She requests that he invoke his Fifth Amendment rights today, and that she would, prior to him testifying, she would like an opportunity to speak with her client because that was not made known to her prior to today.
Ms. Burchett, any comment?
We don't anticipate asking any questions that would invoke the Fifth Amendment right. So what we would have to do then is put him on the stand, and each question, if he believes, every single question I ask, if he believes it's got a Fifth Amendment privilege, he invokes that, and then you have to make a determination if he does or not. I don't believe that he does on any of the questions. I'm very careful on the questions that I'm asking.
Why don't, Mr. Rigby, do you mind facilitating a telephone call between Ms. Mullis and Ms. Merchant?
I don't mind facilitating that at all. Ms. Mullis was on the highway riding, and so it dropped me about 4 or 5 times. But no, I don't mind facilitating the phone call. But Ms. Mullis would like, again, an opportunity to speak with her client before he does any testimony.
I understand. Thank you.
And just so you know, we've tried for 2 years to reach an attorney that represents Mr. Dukes without any success. So this is certainly not something we haven't tried to accommodate prior to today.
We'll see. Maybe that's about to change. Thank you. We'll be in recess about 10 minutes, and y'all let me know if y'all are able to speak. Okay?
Thank you.
Mr. Dukes has spoken with his attorney. Y'all ready to proceed?
Yes, sir.
All right. Ask him to step in, please. All right, if you'll please step around, Mr. Dukes, you can be seated. All right, go ahead. Have a seat. Mr. Dukes, I understand you've spoken with Ms. Mullis, your attorney, is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you intend to offer any testimony today?
I do not, Your Honor.
You do not? All right. In that case, I'm inclined just to continue this until another day when Ms. Mullis can be present. I understand you're still entitled to pose questions to him, but in the absence of his attorney being here and she's on the road somewhere, I prefer to do it at the time that she's here.
That's fine, Judge. I just want to make clear I'm going to have an opportunity when his lawyer is present to ask him questions in regards to the gig.
There's, I think, now whether he answers them or not, that's another thing.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, any suggestions or any objection to handle it that way, Ms. Hart?
No objection. I would just ask if we could perhaps, since that's going to be the only issue, and maybe Agent Shadell, that we do that via Zoom, so he doesn't have to be produced again by the county just for that purpose.
We'll address those issues. I'd love to see about doing this just as expeditiously as possible. Your information is Agent Shadell is not available all week.
No, sir. He's not available tomorrow. He indicated to me that he is back Thursday, Friday. He currently is scheduled. He's now doing polygraphs for the GBI. He's currently scheduled to do 2 polygraphs on Thursday and 1 Friday morning. But obviously, if those have to be rescheduled, he would be able to do that. But even without rescheduling, he'd be available Friday afternoon for testimony.
Not Thursday.
No, sir. Again, he could reschedule if he's required to do that. But without rearranging the schedule,
What do you got?
he's not available Thursday.
I can make myself
I
available
cannot be
Thursday.
available Friday.
Okay. Judge,
just-
what about, do we know if Ms. Mullis might be available tomorrow?
That's what I'm hoping. Do you know, was she on her way to vacation, or was she just out of office?
I did not inquire of her plans. I know that we are in trials in Crisp County this week, and I anticipate that we will be in trials tomorrow. We have Wilcox calendar call tomorrow in Wilcox, which I anticipate Ms. Mullis being involved in, and her schedule is as busy as mine. So.
All right, we'll hash that out later today. You can step back, Mr. Good.
Do you want me to call her at lunch and find out her availability for the rest of the week?
If you don't mind. Sure.
Not a problem at all.
All right, you can step back to wherever they want you to go.
Finish with him?
For the day. Yeah, thank you. All right, it's right on noon. Do y'all want to go ahead and take a lunch break?
Judge, there's one other matter we'd like to take up before lunch, just to verify. I did mention earlier that we didn't have the witnesses here because we had told them to arrive later. There is the matter of the true allele evidence, which was scheduled today for a Harper hearing. This morning, after we began the evidence, I received an email from defense counsel, Mr. Gibbs, with another proposed, a counter proposed order on true allele. At this point, I don't believe we are in any agreement. It's the state's position that the order would not actually satisfy the issue that is before the court. And so we're trying to determine if we're having a Harper hearing. We have 2 witnesses here. If they're not needed, we need to send them back.
No.
And so we would ask
the
court to go ahead and take up the state's motion for judicial notice on this matter, and that may resolve it.
Okay. Go ahead and tell your first witness then, or I'll hear from you on that.
Sorry, we would ask has the court seen the motion that we filed last week?
I have it right here. Yeah.
We have it. Motion for judicial notice. Yes, we served it on email.
Sure. Mine was certified served March 1st by electronic mail. Mr. Gibbs. That's it.
It was sent via email on last Tuesday. Included in that was Ms. Merchant, Mr. Merchant, Evan Gibbs, and I also included at your request Sierra. I don't know her last name.
Thank you.
Yep.
Looks like you've got an email. It's not noticed to be heard today, but we have no problem looking at it at lunch and probably can deal with it right after.
All right, we'll take that up at 1:30. I guess.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, we'll be in recess till 1:30.